Sales isn't about pressure. It's about clarity, confidence, and the ability to lead a conversation that helps people make a decision. Over the last 11 years, HIP has worked with orthodontists to sharpen their messaging, tighten their processes, and start more new patients without feeling salesy. For this episode, we went back through the archives and pulled 40 minutes of the best sales advice from the Grow Ortho podcast.
I look for in a call are the 2 T's, and it's your tonality and your tempo. Like my mom, when I was growing up, she always told me, Harrison, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Well, you know, that little message from mom in, second grade kind of rung true into my sales career. But tone and tempo, we can exude so much or so little just with how we speak. So that's the biggest thing I'm going to be listening to in these calls is the cadence and the tone. Big things that I'd like to hear in calls are tie-down questions or anchoring questions. Guys, we know why they're on the phone. They want an appointment. My 3 big questions are, Luke, I'm just curious, like how long have you been thinking about straightening your teeth? Or how long have you been thinking about bringing little Johnny in for a consult? And they're going to say, yesterday or 2 years, whatever. Okay, awesome. Been thinking about it for a year. Man, the next question is, I'm just curious, why'd you feel like now was a good time to address these things? And I think the most impactful question is, I know there's a lot of options around here. I know we're not the only office in town. I'm just curious, why'd you make the decision to come see us?
Yes.
Okay, great. Amazing. Okay, perfect. Okay. Let's see. Now, that location actually sees patients on it's Wednesdays and Fridays. Which day is better for her?
What days do you have, Friday or Saturday?
Wednesday or Friday. Let me see. Wednesdays and Fridays.
Viernes, está bien. Do you have anything before 8:30? Or
Our
before
first
10?
appointment's at 9. Yeah.
Why not just ask, when do you want to come in?
Ella tiene una appointment a las 9. Okay,
Right.
yeah, we can do that on Friday at 9.
On Friday, you want to do the 22.
Outside of presenting fees in a consult, right? In a consult, I like to keep things very straightforward. Here's our option, but we're flexible. But when it comes to like scheduling or times or getting a pulse on where somebody's at or where they want to be, we always want to use what we would call like a wide net statement. And a wide net statement is always just, is it this or is it that, right? Just 2 options. So if we're very early on in this conversation, right, I would start it off with, okay, great. We're spitballing here, right? But to whittle down to the time, right? If we just start with a day and a time, it's way too broad. So I'm gonna start off by saying, okay, cool. Love to get you scheduled. To get started, was there a specific day or date that you were looking for, or are you just looking for first available?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's start there.
Because like my massage therapist, when I go in, she's like, when do you want to come back? I pull up my calendar and look through it and go, I want to come this day. And if she doesn't have that day, she goes, I don't have that day, but I have the next day. Perfect.
Right.
It's like ballpark. You know what I mean? But if we're saying, hey, we have Wednesday at 11 or Friday at this time, it's like, well, neither of those times work. Oh, well, when do you want to come in? It's like, why don't we just ask that first?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to this super cool resident over at Seton Hill, and we were talking about 2 options, and I was like, this is how I would whittle it down. I would say, number 1, are you looking for a specific date or a specific day, or are you looking for first available? Okay, let's weed that out. And then they're going to say, I'm looking for first available. Okay, great. My first available is on Wednesday. As far as Wednesday goes, here's my next wide net statement. As far as Wednesday goes, are you more of a morning kind of gal or an afternoon kind of gal? I'm more of an afternoon kind of gal. Okay, great. In the afternoon, I've got a 1 p.m. and a 3 p.m. Which one works best for you? So we're going to start broad and get a sense of where do you want to be? Do you have something specific in mind? Once we figure that out, we're going to offer them blank or blank. And then once we figure that out, we're going to figure, are you afternoon or morning? We just keep chunking down to these wide net statements, and then we've got the time that we want. If we keep it too open-ended, you're just going to go round and round in circles like this. And one, the call's going to take way longer than it needs to be. And then you always run the risk of they didn't hear you and what did you say? And we just kind of go round and round. So wide net statement, 2 options every time. Specific date or first available, great. This or that, great. Morning or afternoon, okay, great. This time or this time, see you on Thursday. Without a sense of urgency, desire loses its value. And I've kind of put my own spin on this. I say without a sense of urgency, desire loses its lust. And for anybody listening or anybody watching, you know, maybe you can relate to that. You know, if anybody listening uses a website called Amazon.com,
or ChatGPT.
Or ChatGPT, right? But on Amazon, right? I don't know about you guys with Amazon Prime. I'm kind of at the point in my buying journey that, like, if it doesn't have that guaranteed 2-day delivery sticker on it, what do we start saying? Well, you know, do I really need this? Or maybe I can find a product that's similar to this that I can get tomorrow. And what I'm really trying to get you guys to think about as we dive into this is think about how long Amazon has been ingrained in our culture, right? This idea of being able to get something tomorrow, this didn't just happen last week. Amazon's been in our culture for years now, and it's created a certain kind of consumer behavior, almost a consumer expectation that if I can't have it now, maybe I don't need it, or I'll find something similar. And so hopefully what you guys can think about is, like, how does that kind of bleed into how people go about choosing an orthodontist?
You know, we hear this all the time with that is, you know, we'll talk about desire and urgency. If you don't have that, it can take you 2 days to follow up, 5 days to follow up, a week to follow up. And then we hear this term all the time. They were a bad lead.
Bad leads.
So what is a bad lead?
Well, typically what happens is, like, if I'm doing a training like this or giving a talk, I'll ask the audience, like, what do you think's a bad lead? And I get the same thing every time. It's somebody who no-shows their initial new patient consultation. It's somebody who, doesn't pick up my call. It's somebody who hasn't been to the dentist in a year. It's somebody who I was texting and they fell off the train. And it's so interesting because then sometimes I'll say, so what is a good lead? And that list is like 2 bullet points long. And it's like, we've got all these parameters to disqualify somebody and why we can't help these people and what qualifications are a bad lead. And we have like 2 or 3 indications of what a good patient is. And you look at the numbers, I don't remember, you might know the data better, but it's like orthodontics currently serves like, what is it, less than 3% of the entire population of people that could actually use treatment. Is it possible that maybe offices are writing people off way too soon? And that maybe possibly might be one of the reasons why we're treating such a small percentage of the population, because we're putting all this red tape and disqualifiers to who can come in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I like to keep things simple. Anybody that knows me or gets to know me, I'm a very, very simple guy. I say that a bad lead is very simply somebody who's not qualified for us to serve them. So in orthodontics, who's somebody who's not qualified for us to serve them?
Somebody who doesn't have teeth, or, you know, maybe they don't have any permanent teeth. And that's about it.
You know, maybe if they have
extreme
0
surgery case needed, maybe.
Yeah. But, you know, I just kind of rely to Dr. Ben Fishbein on this. I think he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, to ever do it. And I ask him, you know, what's a bad lead? And he goes, very simple. Somebody who doesn't have teeth, somebody who doesn't have a pulse, right? And then I ask these other practices who've been stuck and they just can't grow past $1 million. And what's a bad lead? And they give me like a syllabus of their qualifications of a good patient.
Yeah.
It's just somebody not qualified for us to serve them. But think about it, right? Okay, somebody who doesn't have teeth, that's probably a bad lead for an orthodontist. Well, maybe you're a dentist listening to this. Is somebody who doesn't have teeth possibly a good lead for you? Right? Can you do dentures, implants, etc.? Right? Same oral surgeon if you do implants, right? So A bad lead, quote unquote, and I hate that word, it really is subjective based on your practice and who you're able to serve. And so I've talked to a lot of our what we call easy growers, people that just grow so easily. They don't mind getting the leads that, haven't been to the dentist or need dental work. They're like, dude, that's like easy way for me to repay the favor back to the dentist. And it saves me another trip having to bring them cookies. Right? So how can we use that and kind of roll with the energy? Right here, this is the list that I always get. They don't pick up the call or they don't text you back, or my favorite one at the end is someone who sounds grumpy. How come these people sound so grumpy? Well, let me ask you, Luke, if you were the scheduling girl, when a scheduling person, if you get a call to your phone from a number not saved in your phone, do you answer that with the same spirits and energy as if your best friend was calling you?
Well, first off, I never answer.
You never answer?
I've never picked up a call from a number I don't know. And I think that's even an important point to hit, because we hear all the time, I call them. Well, do you pick up from a number?
No, I don't.
No.
But it's a bad lead. Trust me.
It's a bad lead. So that's why we have a very specific cadence with call, voicemail, text message, email, repeat, right? Repeat that. Because then that lead is going to see patterns and association. Oh, I did request that. Oh, this is that person.
Yep.
You finally have my attention, right? And so I think, once we do pick up, or if some people do answer calls, I used to sell the New York Times to people. That was, you want to talk about grumpy. You're buying a list. You're literally cold calling people. I had people telling me how the New York Times was like the Antichrist and all these crazy stories. You have to find ways to bring that wall down, right? Oh, it is the Antichrist? Tell me more. I'd love to know.
Yeah.
By the end, it'd be like, well, there's this section in the Saturday paper.
Yeah.
I really think you would love it.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get there if you can't have a conversation.
Right.
So if you hear somebody ticked off and now you get ticked off and, bad lead. And I worked at Chick-fil-A. They were able to de-escalate situations better than anyone I've ever seen. I'll never forget this one time somebody grumpy came in, family of like 10 people. They were trying to use all these coupons and, they only had I forget what it was. Let's just say it was, $20. The general manager came up to the register and found a way to work with the $20 to maximize that with coupons. And by the end of it, the family was like, this is amazing. Could you go to McDonald's and have that done? And so, we can see things like Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, name your favorite customer service experience.
Disney.
When do we act like that?
For the general public that isn't a compulsive buyer, did you just wake up one day, with zero intention of, let's say, getting a new car? You wake up on a Saturday morning, you see an ad on Facebook or you see an ad on TV watching college football, and it says, new Jeep Wrangler, Labor Day special, and then just drive to the Jeep dealership that afternoon and buy the car, right? For the doctors watching this, when it was time to get a new scanner or needed a scanner, did you just wake up on a Thursday morning and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go buy a $30,000 scanner today.
Yeah.
There's probably been some sort of process or journey to it, right? Maybe the ad is what tipped you over the edge, or maybe the ad is 3 months ago what kind of planted that seed in your mind. But very, very small percentage of people just go, oh, $500 off braces. I should go put braces on Johnny today. They see $500 off braces and they go, oh, man, that's right. Dr. Bob, the dentist, he did say that Johnny's probably going to need some braces soon. I'm going to go ahead and keep my eyeballs here on Fishbein Orthodontics. And when the time is right, we'll see what's going on at that time. The point of an ad is not to put an ad out or put a piece of marketing out and get somebody to come in and buy the next day. Do we love it when that happens? Of course we do, but that's not the intention.
Right.
We have so many ways that our patients can request a new patient exam. Of course, you can just call the office and our call center can make you an exam appointment. We do have a 72-hour rule. So if a patient wants to be seen as soon as possible, they have to get them in within 3 days. Even if there's not an opening, we do overbook out to the side. Aside from that, we do our Facebook ads. So if they request an appointment through there, we get the email and we'll immediately call and get them scheduled. We do virtual consultations on our website. So they can request an appointment through SmileSnap and we'll do it that way. So we have a lot of different avenues for patients to request that initial exam. And as far as the actual exam goes, once they get into our office, we have 30 minutes total with each patient. So we're typically scheduling up to 33 or more a day. And it basically just starts, they come in while mom's filling out paperwork. Our records technician will go ahead and grab them from the waiting room, take full records. So it's PANSF and photos on every patient. And that's included in our 30-minute exam time. So we typically give records techs about an 8-minute window to get full records taken. During that time, the TC, calls mom back. We'll go over health history, everything like that with the paperwork. And then records are printed and we're ready to grab the doctor within the first 8 minutes of them being there. So after that, of course, we go grab the doctor. They typically have a 1 to 2 minute window in the room. So they're in and out pretty quick. And it's the TC doing a lot of talking after that. So going over fees, asking for the sale, everything like that. When I started, we had an hour per exam. One day, Dr. Bim was like, we're going to 45 minutes. Let's make it happen. So to do that, we just slowly had to get quicker with each step of our consult process. And then same thing, one day he came in, he's like, we can do this in 30 minutes, schedule a new patient every 15. So the doctors understand in order to make that happen, they have to do their part. They can't spend 20 minutes of our 30-minute exam in the room. So they're very quick. They trust the TCs. The TCs know what they're talking about. They know how to explain the treatment to the patient. And they know if the patient has more questions, you can go grab the doctor again. And that never happens. I don't think it's ever happened in one of my exams, but they're very, capable of doing that. So as far as records go, that kind of happened the same way. We would actually secretly time our records techs and give them praise whenever they got quicker. And then eventually we'd be like, let's see if we can beat this 8-minute window. So they get a lot of training and they know they have another new patient coming in every 15 minutes. So they want to be quick too. And then, our fee presentation, it's very simple. It's the same every single time. So it takes 5 minutes every time, no matter what. So we always lead with that payment plan of $300 down, and it has to be less than $200 a month. So that's our TC's rules for financing. And that typically just eliminates any questions from the patient. We don't give any options. So there's really nothing for them to, be overwhelmed by or need to go home and talk to their spouse about. I feel like most people that come in, they don't feel like they have to go home and sit down with the husband or wife before spending $300. So, and aside from that, also our doctors in the exam room, I think sometimes, when the doctor's spending 20 minutes in the room, sitting down, going super in depth about the science of orthodontics with the patient, they end up taking all this information in. They feel like it's a big deal, something they need to really go home and digest and then come back. We don't. We try to keep every single part of the process extremely simple. And I think that helps a lot with the eliminating obstacles part.
So some of the offices who may be struggling and listening or watching this, maybe simplifying is the solution for those offices. That's really cool. And you talked about your contract being simple as well as fees. Walk us through a little bit on that. So your down payment is $300, right?
Yes, that's what we lead with. Of course, you'll still have patients. Well, what if I pay in full? At that point, we will let them know, what our pay in full discount is. We'll get into the other options, but we're not going to lead with 4 options that they need to go home and decide on.
Gotcha. So what do you do if someone says, I don't know if I could pay $300 today?
I would ask them if they can pay $150 today. And normally they can. And then I will draft the other $150 in 1 to 2 weeks. Perfect.
That's awesome. And did you guys test different down payment numbers to get to 300?
Oh yeah, we've done everything over the years. So that's definitely just been the sweet spot as far as the down payment goes. We've tried, when we first started introducing doing a lot of Invisalign to our practice, we had a difference in our down payment. So we would let the patient pay, I think it might have been $500 for braces or $1,000 that day if they wanted to do Invisalign. And everyone needed to go home and think about it before they could just commit to $1,000 down. So we've tried quite a few different options, but this has been the best as far as same day starts go.
No expectation of what happens at the consult, 1. 2, whether they've got insurance or they don't have insurance. They've got the best insurance or the worst insurance. What's people's number one question going to be when they get in the consult?
How much is it?
How much is it? When doctors are investigating hip, what's their number one question?
How much is this going to cost?
Okay. So I also hear all the time, they waste my time or it takes too much time. Well, what's eating up so much time? We're spending all this time to get really this one question answered, which is, how much does it cost? Anybody listening to this, if you're married, would you ever make a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 decision without talking to your significant other? Maybe there's 1% of people listening to this that would.
Outside of a engagement ring or anniversary ring, no.
Good.
Because if you're buying them a $10,000 ring, they're not going to care. They're gonna
hug
be
you.
like, oh, thanks.
Oh, do that again.
But if you're gonna go buy a car, gun, add on to the house, whatever, you better
Make a $7,000 decision for your kids, sign up for college, buy a car, etc. Point being is, obviously we're getting insurance information so we can put that in their file, but a lot of the times what would happen when somebody says, oh, I've got whatever it is, Delta Dental, I hear a lot of times on calls that the schedulers will use that as like an edification point. Oh, that's awesome. You've got Delta Dental. You've got amazing insurance. We're actually in network with them, which means you're going to get a better fee. So when somebody says they have insurance, we're using this as an edification point to start speaking to affordability and low cost and low barrier of entry. But to me, I think it's even more important to edify and speak to that if they don't have insurance. So in this call, they started on that, like, oh, no worries, not a problem. We work with people all the time that don't have an insurance. We have great payment plans. I personally have never heard a phone call at an orthodontic office where they said we have terrible payment plans. It's not actually giving me the information that I need.
But when I was listening to that, if I was trying to put myself in their shoes, and I would be thinking a little bit uneasy, like, oh, but what is that? Am I gonna pay high interest with a low payment plan?
Right. What do most people associate financing with? Interest.
Care credit. High interest.
Interest, right? If you finance a car, are you paying more for the car than if you bought it out cash?
Yeah, same thing with the house. You pay for the house 3 times over.
So there's this association in our brains that when we hear payment plans and financing, 99% of the time, everybody connects that to there's going to be interest. So if you're not going to talk about fees on the phone, which I would not recommend, but if you're not going to do that, you at least need to be bringing up 0% interest, no credit checks, we finance it in-house, no banks involved, that kind of thing.
This episode is brought to you by the Practice Paradox. If practice growth advice has felt random, like it works for everyone else but you, it's because it's not the strategy, it's the fit. The Practice Paradox matches growth strategies to your practice personality, so you stop trying to force tactics that fight your wiring. For $19.99, you get the book plus the Practice Personality Assessment, a 5-minute diagnostic that shows what actually works for you. Grab your copy of the Practice Paradox and the Practice Personality Assessment now.
However, I would suggest fee transparency on the phone. That doesn't mean you need to drop your fees like, oh, it's going to be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. But unfortunately, like these DIYers, what have they done really good at? Fee transparency. You look at some of our very big producers. They've got it on their website. They've got it in their ads. People come in knowing what to expect. So in this situation, knowing that you're not even speaking to the patient themselves and there's going to be a language barrier, right? It makes the most sense to take the time now and have that conversation, right? And in our training resources, we've got the trial close, but
yeah, essentially hit those things. And the short story is we hit, here's a down payment and with monthlies as low as, essentially.
Yeah,
that's
we don't
that's
know what it's
hit
going to
with-
be.
Yeah.
Whether it's getting somebody scheduled, whether it's getting the contract signed. I tell people all the time that really what it is people are buying, whether you're buying braces or you're buying marketing from Hip or whatever the case, buying a stick of deodorant, What people are buying is they're buying certainty. People want to feel certain in making the decision or taking the next step. So if I've just told you I don't have insurance, I need to feel that certainty that I'm walking into something comfortable and I'm walking into something that's not going to, bankrupt me or not be able to pay my house. How do we do that? Is soften it up with, like you were saying, 0% interest or certainty is what they want.
For $500 down and $189 a month. Most likely we have to see maybe a little more, a little less, but it's going to be ballpark.
Do you think people that don't have medical insurance, don't have vision insurance, don't have dental insurance, do you think they already have some uncertainty and some uneasiness going to see a doctor? Because they don't know what to expect.
Well,
as soon as somebody says it's not covered by insurance, what are people saying? Oh gosh, like, am I going to be able to do this, right? There's already some uneasiness associated with medical procedures and no insurance. This is our time to, I think, cut through the noise and shine and give this person that feeling of certainty that it's going to be okay. Whether it's confusion, uncertainty, guardedness, any of these things, as soon as I sense that, I need to completely pivot and address that right now, or I don't have this person's attention going through the rest of the call. Many different ways to pivot around that. But if they were like, yes, I'd be like, are you sure? Or, have fun with it. Be playful, right? But, one of the things I say all the time is like, hey, Luke, am I hallucinating? Or did you not sound so sure right there? You know? But you want to address that, because if you're playful with it or you say something that they're not expecting, it's a pattern interrupt, and now I have your full attention because I've kind of thrown you off. So if somebody's uneasy, uncertain, confused, can tell they don't have their attention, you got to address that immediately, or the call's not going to go well, or you didn't have their attention, they're going to no-show because you didn't have enough of their attention. If you want to get really good on the phones, fall in love with awkward, silent moments, right? In this situation, if we were uncomfortable and I can tell the person on the phone, like whoever's making the call is pretty seasoned, they're comfortable. But like if we were uncomfortable, we'd be like, hello, can you hear me? Did you get that? And it actually, to me, diminishes the flow of the call. Just
Harrison?
Just embrace it, right? You can see, even if we just make it through those like 3 to 4 seconds, we get back on track, right? Remember, this person just answered a phone call out of the blue. We have no idea what they're doing. Just sit and embrace it. It's all good. The magic happens in awkward silences. It's not always that the leads are bad. It's that the opportunities have gone cold.
Yeah.
Whether it's a brand new lead that we let slip through the crack, or whether it's somebody that's been in conversation with me and they didn't text me back one time, so I wrote them off and then they've gone cold. There is a difference between a bad opportunity that we can't serve and somebody who's lost some excitement. So this is a study that was done by the Harvard Business Review. Anybody that's works with us or followed us for a little bit, you've probably seen this. But for any new listeners, this is like I said, a study. And so if we're looking at the one that says response time, you can see in that graph that there were just about 10,000 contacts or 10,000 leads generated in this study off of the internet, from Facebook, from Instagram, Google websites, etc. Nearly 10,000. And after just about 10,000 contacts generated, what was found was that with somebody off the internet, I think this applies to all opportunities, not just digital opportunities, but for all intents and purposes of the study, what was found was that if you don't follow up with that person within 5 minutes or less, there was a 400% decrease in ever getting in touch with these people.
Yeah.
400%. Now, on the slide before, it said, the leads go cold, but in parentheses, it said also, for an existing patient who gets annoyed, or for somebody who needs to reschedule and gets off the phone, it doesn't end with a new lead. I'm putting on my consumer cap here, not my training consultant sales cap. As a consumer, I don't know about you, but if I call a business and they put me on hold for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it feels like 20, I'm already kind of like,
ticked off,
annoyed,
yeah.
Or you call a business and they don't answer the phone. Annoying. I don't know if you ever had you call a business and you get disconnected and they never ask you your callback number.
Yeah.
I have like this panic moment. I'm like, do I call them back?
Now I'm going to have to wait on hold forever again.
I got to get back in the queue.
Yeah.
Are they going to call me back? These are all micro impressions we're making before this person even gets into their new patient consult. I would assume that 99.9% of people, watching this or listening to this, we all know that clinically speaking, Smile Direct Club is trash. I mean, they're in a class action lawsuit. People's teeth are falling out of their head.
Literally.
But
yeah,
I think we can learn something from this based on the general public that has a low dental IQ. What is it that they're seeking for and searching for and buying, right? We talk to so many orthodontists that, they use, this bracket system, or, oh, we've got a CBCT and everybody else is using 2D imaging, and,
we can fly around in their skull now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
And of course, I'm not a doctor, nor are you. I can't speak clinically for what you believe you need to be doing for your patients. What I'm getting at here is I've talked to so many doctors that think this new fancy 3D custom bracket system or the 3D imaging, that's what's going to differentiate them in the marketplace. Go right now, go find 10 people on the street and ask them if they know what a CBCT is. Go find 10 people on the street whose kids need orthodontics and ask them if they know the difference between indirect bonding and direct bonding.
Yeah.
Is that really what patients are buying? Now, can you make a splash and differentiate yourselves once you've got them in, you've got them started, they're in your clinic? That's the time to wow them clinically. But people aren't buying these modalities and this fancy technology. Smile Direct Club's probably making these aligners, in somebody's basement or something.
Well,
but what were they buying? Speed,
yeah,
convenience, little resistance, affordability, cool brand.
Yeah.
That's what they were buying.
I don't know if you ever had a Czech Coke. You remember that brand, Czech, or RC Cola?
like the generic brand?
Yeah, it's like Del Champ's brand or something,
Dude,
like Winn-Dixie. Or
shout out Kirkland Signature.
Yeah, okay. So what is it? It's a Coke, right? And so I bring that up because you're talking about people don't know. Sometimes we hear, I've got to offer Invisalign, and maybe you do. That's great. But if you go ask 10 people on the street, hey, what are clear aligners, and show it to them.
Oh, that's Invisalign.
That's Invisalign. They don't know, right? And it just proves a point that
I'm doing Invisalign with Smile Direct Club.
Right. That's what people say. Literally, that's what people say. Oh, I've got an Invisalign. Oh, yeah, who's your doctor? Oh, Smile Direct Club.
Right.
They
purple guy.
Yeah, they don't know the difference between a dentist and this is also why so many orthodontists are losing patients to the dentist, because the dentist already has the patient. They're making it easy to say yes for clear aligners, and then boom, they get started.
Yep.
And so, the landscape has changed unless we change and really implement a lot of these things we're talking about. I mean, you could be eviscerated. You know what I mean? You could be just taken out, especially with the way things are going. Now you're getting into AI. There's so many disruptors coming into play. You got to be at the top of your game.
I actually had ChatGPT write me a treatment plan. And mind you, my clinical knowledge is like less than 2%.
Yeah.
Maybe less than 1%. I just know some terms, from when I got my brace. And I put into ChatGPT like what my diagnosis was. I said, write me a treatment plan for a 30-year-old adult male with a class 2 occlusion, overbite, mild crowd, and it literally wrote the treatment plan minus one thing that Dr. Sarah gave me, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can call people back within 60 seconds, your conversions rate go up another 391%. And the note I wanted to make here is, well, like we call it the 5-minute rule, like that's non-negotiable, let's say. But I think that 5 minutes should really be like your worst day. And here's why. In the digital world, 5 minutes could literally be an hour. Meaning, if I click on something online and I request a call or I request an appointment, I don't know anybody who's going to sit there on their phone and do nothing else They can't go make lunch, can't go eat dinner, can't go start scrolling back around through Facebook, just waiting 5 minutes for a callback. Let's count 5 minutes together on the podcast.
Zach, can you put up a ticker? 5 minutes?
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I make you bet we've already lost some listeners at this point. They're like, I'm not waiting 5 minutes for a clock to count down.
The video.
Right?
Just kidding. We're not going to do that.
Right? But a lot of the times when we have a poor answer rate or a lot of confusion of like, who are you calling me from, is because we're not top of mind anymore. I see call answer rates go up and confusion go down when we call people before they even exit out of their browser. Outside of your treatment coordinator, maybe your treatment coordinator too, but I'm sure anybody watching or listening to this, either you've said this or you've had friends say this or you've had employees say this. Oh, I could never be in sales. I could never do sales. I'm not the sales type. And I say, well, what is the sales type? They say, well, you're pushy, you're aggressive, or you're trying to take something from somebody. I said, well,
car lots.
Yeah,
That's
right?
what comes to mind.
What's the avatar?
Yeah.
Everybody says the used car salesman, big old fake smile and not really your needs and interests. But what it tells me is two things. Number one, over the last 10, 20 years, we've had a lot of really bad salespeople in the world. And that's why I think people have a negative connotation towards the word sales or selling people. But also, I think a lot of people at its core don't actually know what sales really means, right? People think it's trying to take something from somebody. My job is to sell you so I can take your money. And if that's how you're operating or that's your mindset,
Got commission.
yeah, you should not be in sales, or you're in it for the wrong reasons. Maybe you should go sell the New York Times or something. But this is a concept that I heard a few years ago. A good friend of mine, her name's Lisana, actually. She's probably one of the best female salespeople closers I've ever worked with. She's a total bad A, boss lady. But she had put something up on Facebook and she said, does anybody actually know what sales means? And of course, everybody comments on all the things that we just talked about. What her post said is it was a definition, just like all of our words in the English language have a root word, in Latin or Germanic or, whatever, right? So the word sales or selling actually comes from a word out of the Old English dictionary. And the root word of sales is a word called sellan, S-E-L-L-A-N. And the definition of the word sellan means, drum roll please, right? All silliness away. The definition of the word sellan means to give. To give. That's the root word of sales, is to give. It's not to take. It's not to push. It's to give. And I believe, now 2 asterisks on this, because in any skill set in this world, you can use a skill set for good and you can use a skill set for not so good, right? So my asterisks are, number 1, you have to operate with integrity. And number 2, you have to have a true desire to help people and know that the product or service that you're putting in front of or selling somebody on is truly going to make a positive impact in their life. As soon as we start trying to push products or services on people that they don't need, now we're getting into the doomy, gloomy part of sales. Mm-hmm. But if you're in a place where you can benefit or you need what I have, selling you or closing you down is really the highest form of service I can give you.
Yeah. How many people do you know who may do well, but you don't know rich people who do it themselves? Think about it. Mm-hmm.
What's my time worth?
If I think of the richest person I know personally, he ain't fixing the car that breaks down. He's not fixing the leaky pipe. He's not fixing the shingle that blew off. He's not fixing the pool that's clogged. He's not doing any of those things. Why? Because he knows the reason why I can make money is I take my time and focus on the thing I do well, my craft. I know these, lots of people, but the specific family comes to mind, and they can do anything themselves. Literally, they can build a house, they can build, they can fix a car, they can, you name it, they can do it. Okay. But they're not rich. Yeah, you save money. Okay. But if you actually want to build wealth, you have to focus your time on one thing, do the same thing over and over. What's Warren Buffett do every day? You think when Warren Buffett's house has a problem, dishwasher has a problem, car has a problem, he's taking care of it? No.
No shot.
No shot.
Hey, I'm not rich, and
but you may have principles or habits that are building,
right?
Because Warren Buffett, he didn't become a billionaire until what, 50s? Something like that. Don't quote me on it. I think it's 50s. But you could say, look at Colonel Sanders, and he didn't start $1 million business or a business that actually survived until he was 65. But what was he doing? He was making chicken all the time. You know what I mean? And so Warren Buffett, to go back to him, he's literally making calls, making trades, making deals all day, every day. He pushes out everything else, right? Michael Jordan wasn't fixing his pipe that burst under the sink. And you have to go all the way back to the beginning, because people will say, oh, yeah, but he was this famous athlete, or Warren Buffett's this billionaire. But they literally had the same habit for 40 years, 20 years, 60 years. And so if you actually want to become something, if you have a picture in your head, I guarantee you it's using your time wisely. And I'll frame it around this to kind of wrap it up and put a bow on it. We see so many orthodontists who went to school for 20 years, spent $800,000 on, dental school residency, now spend another $250,000 or $500,000 or $1 million on this office build out. And I'm going to be the TC because I can do it better. I'm going to be the bookkeeper because I need to look at all this, and I'm going to categorize things, because heaven forbid I get double charged $24 on my QuickBooks subscription, just all these things. And we tell orthodontists, hey, if you want to come work with HIP, you have to want to be a full-time orthodontist in the clinic. You're not being TC. You're not being office manager. You're not being finance, insurance. You are doing one thing and using your time wisely. Then you can grow and scale.